Hey, I'm very tired. It's midnight. I just got home. I recorded the clips I'm about to show you earlier today and then had to go, and I just drove back and I'm home and I just want to finish this tonight. So I'm going to split this video into 3 sections. The first one, I am going to discuss ATG a little bit because I just finished the first 12 weeks of Zero. And I want to let you know what I think a little bit about it and go through some of the Monday, Wednesday, Friday exercises and show you some progress I made on those. And after that, the second section, I guess, will just be my kind of thoughts overall about it and how it's helped me day to day. And then the third section, I think I'll add in my improvement to my vertical jump. I don't know if you saw my last video, but I thought it would be good to have some metrics of improvement before and after this system. I know it's not meant to help people jump, but I just found a wall and I learned how to test a vertical jump kind of, and I did that. So I posted a video about that. I'll just put a card at the top if you want to see the first one. And yeah, I think that will be the third section. Okay, the left was at the beginning of ATG, the right is 12 weeks later. On the left, I was 174 pounds. On the right, I'm 183. On the left, my thighs were 21 and an eighth inches. On the right, my left is 22 inches and my right is 21 and 3/8. So that's interesting. My calves on the left were 14 and a half and my calves on the right are 14 and 5/8. So a bit of growth everywhere, but my right leg got a little bit injured, so it needs to catch up. This is what they have you do at the beginning of your sessions. Normally, I would just walk backwards for 10 minutes at my house, but you want to add resistance as you start going on. So sometimes I have access to this treadmill and I walk back. Just make sure that when you are starting with your foot back there, that your knees are over your toes, as you can see me doing here. I'm about to move on to dense now, and I guess I'm supposed to be pulling a sled backwards like this, so I'll have to find access to that. But this really is a good short range movement to get your knees all warmed up. The second thing that they have you do is the Tibialis Raises. The further away from the wall you stand, the more difficult it is. These started to feel really good. A couple times I even did what he said and I strapped a dumbbell onto my feet and hung them off of a bench and did them. But you do 25 reps of these and it really does help warm everything up. If you want a bit more of a challenge, you can do it in shoes or you can do it one-footed, and it really makes a difference. Up next, we move on to the calf raises, which I have moved up to 1 foot at a time. You do 25 per foot, and yeah, you really want to touch your heel down at the bottom of them, kind of like a stretch, and try to keep your ankle, your knee, and your hip and your shoulder all in a straight line instead of letting your hips drop forward. Oh, okay, and after that, actually, you do another set of Tibialis raises, but I'm just doing a throwback to when I first started the program. This is the knees over toes calf raise. This is how I did it. Like, it's a little bit like Michael Jackson style, but the online coaches within the app corrected this right away, and they told me how to do it, which I will show you, which I just recorded my last session. So first session versus last session. You can see here, I've also advanced to 1 foot at a time. And I just get up close to a wall and I try and keep my knee, hip, and shoulder all in a straight line. You can't really see here, but I'm leaning against the wall, but I'm not using my hands to pull my weight up, although I guess you could do that to assist you for the last couple of reps. I'm just trying to get like the smallest angle possible at the bottom there between the top of my foot and my shin bone to get the best stretch possible. But this I've improved a lot at. All right, here's another throwback. So here is the Patrick step, I believe it's called, before I knew what to do. Look at my torso, it's staying upright, whereas now the coaches told me, hey, when you put your leg forward like that, your torso should be angling back at the same angle. You can't really see it here, but watch my shadow. You can see my shin is at the same angle as my torso actually is. So they have you do 25 reps on each leg for this. And just don't let your weight drop down into that bottom position quickly. The whole point is to slowly get down to the bottom like that and then go back up. Here's a throwback to the choppy clip. Here is the favorite of Mr. Ben Patrick, where you're doing the ATG split squat. Ignore the choppiness, but just see my back leg there and then the angle of my torso. My torso is kind of bent forward a little bit and my knee is still bent quite a bit at the back. You'll see a lot of improvement now. Let's just see what we can actually see in this clip. So I'm sliding my feet around, trying to find the right width, and I will lift my heel on this one to get my knee even further over my toes. But you can tell my back leg has a lot more ability to move. Like the hip flexor over these last 12 weeks has really made some gains on both sides. And this is my left side, which is actually the worst side. It's the tighter hip flexor. You see I'll keep my heel down this time. You're supposed to get to that point. I just had to shift my stance a little bit wider. I'll probably switch to the other leg here. So this is the better one for me. Like my left knee is stronger and better, and my right leg has a more flexible hip flexor. So this is going to be way better form on this side. I couldn't believe it was probably 2 or 3 weeks into this, just out of nowhere, my strength was incredible at these. I used to shake and I couldn't balance, and just it was stressful, but I've gotten much better. I'm looking forward to adding some dumbbells in the Dense program, which is about to start. This is the elephant walk. The meat and potatoes of the workout is basically done, and then there's a couple stretches that you can do. So this, you can get the system and figure out exactly why we're doing it, I guess, but it's hamstring flexibility. And you can see how far away my hands are from my feet there, and then I'll just kind of, over 30 reps per leg, I'm going to transition to the end of this set, and you'll see how much closer I am here. Now, when I started this 12 weeks ago, I was like a foot in front of my feet, and my hands were up on my camera case, which is probably 8 inches tall. So the gains I've made in this are actually pretty incredible. You're supposed to be able to do this with your palms touching the ground by the end of the 12 weeks, which I'm obviously not able to do, but progress is progress. Oh, look at that, I was able to touch for a second. This was really difficult for me too. For weeks and weeks, I had to do it one leg at a time, and I would do 15 seconds left leg, 15 seconds right leg, back and forth till I did a whole minute, whereas now I can hold them both up for the full 60 seconds. So that's awesome. Here is another thing. I'm just including this because it's basically the last thing that you do on every Monday, Wednesday, Friday of 0. It's the couch stretch. Now, I've never before been able to get my shin flush with the wall like that before, and I've been doing this stretch for years. So I guess I wasn't doing it maybe often enough, because now obviously my shin is pretty flush with the wall. But if you're having issues keeping your body upright, just find an item like an exercise ball like this and just kind of rest yourself up on it, and then focus more on the actual flexing of your back legs, glute, and getting the full amount out of the stretch without worrying about pushing through your other leg to keep your body upright, if that makes sense. So just little things like this help me actually focus more on what I should be focusing on instead of holding my body upright. So yeah, that brings us to the end basically of those. There were a couple throwbacks and whatnot, and I guess I will talk a little bit about what I have noticed along the way and what I've seen improve in my daily life. So as for what I've noticed in my daily life, I'm not an athlete or anything, and I sit here all day running my business just on a laptop, and I have for a decade. So what I've noticed though is that when I stand up, I no longer have to just stand up on my left leg, and I don't stand up and brace myself, which I didn't even notice I do all of the time, but now I'm aware of it. I can stand up on my right leg, my left leg, both legs. I can do simple things around the house without even really being conscious of my knees, like something at the bottom of the fridge. I just bend down, or I kind of ATG split squat, and I can get down there and it's totally fine, which is refreshing. I didn't even really realize how much it was still affecting me every single day until it wasn't anymore. So I wanted to point that out. That's a big plus. Another thing is I have the hip flexor strength now to just literally put on my socks, which is great, because for a long time I was lying back on my bed and having to do it because sitting all day, I guess, and doing nothing, your hip flexors are just in such a short and weak position. So even that has been benefited. And when I'm walking around the city, just normal walking, I noticed everything feels better. I think that is due to a lot of things, but part of this system has lengthened my hip flexors, so I have a longer stride, like my leg can get further behind me, which is good. And at the same time, my ankle mobility is better. It has more movement this way, so as my stride is longer and it gets behind me, I can still, have the flexion in my ankle to carry out that long stride. Also, when I used to walk around, it felt like I was just kind of swinging my left leg forward because the hip flexor was so weak. So it's good to have them balanced out now thanks to the program. Also, when I'm walking, I used to be really conscious of how much I was pushing through each foot, and I would kind of not push off the big toe of the feet like you're supposed to. One foot would push off the pinky, and it was just always a conscious thought of like, oh, walk properly. And now I just noticed that it's just happening naturally on its own, which is nice. It just, again, makes normal, everyday, every person type of things much easier, which is great. I always had, or not always, but for the last couple of years had an issue in the back of my left leg, kind of the inside, that stringy, tendony hamstring on the inside of your knee, and that has gone away. My left ankle, if I try to sit back on it and flatten my ankle out, it would never flatten out, and then over many years of working at it, it finally started to flatten out about a year ago, but it would always have a huge thunk crack. That doesn't happen anymore. And another slight improvement on my right ankle, which I completely destroyed in 2001, and every time I walk anywhere, as you've seen in other clips when I'm doing certain exercises. It's just such a loud crack. It's getting quieter. It's not there. I don't know if it will ever be there, but that's improved as well. My left pinky toe, I broke in the year 2000. It shriveled up and it was really crappy for a really long time. And that also seems to be improving for some reason. So I don't really understand exactly how or why that would be happening now. I have a couple theories, I guess, if you really think about it, but I just wanted to let you know all the weird little things I've noticed that are improving. Just with this whole program that Ben created, this whole ATG system, I really like that he's mentioned his lifestyle is typically sitting down at a computer for ridiculous hours, because that's what I've been doing for so long. Normally when you think that's your lifestyle, you think, okay, I've got to get like the most ergonomic chair, and I've always got to like sit like this, and I've got to blah, 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 blah. And it's just so many things, and it's so annoying, and nobody ever does that. Like, I'm working like this by hour 8 all of the time. And he says he does that, but he says also that with his program, he doesn't have to do any special weird things to feel okay in his body. He says that his program just makes everything work. So that's one less thing I have to worry about. It's just keep doing this program, which I enjoy anyway, and it's going to undo all the bad stuff that I'm doing as part of my job, right? And one more thing I did want to mention before we get on to the vertical jump part, as my battery is dying, is that I developed a pain kind of on the inside here of my right knee, kind of at like, what would that be, 5 o'clock or something, on the inside a couple weeks into the program, although I was even being super careful. So then I had to start favoring the leg and stop doing some of the stuff. And I eventually saw a physiotherapist, and she did some specific dry needling in certain areas, including my vastus lateralis and down the calf and all of that. And it seemed to have made the knee pain go away completely. So I chilled out, didn't do the program for a few days after that, and then started again. And it's been many weeks since then, and it totally went away, and it's still gone. And it's great. I just want to mention that because online I've seen other people complaining about the same spot starting to hurt after starting into the program for a couple of weeks. So if that's your issue, don't worry about it. Well, kind of worry about it, but go see a physiotherapist, ask them about dry needling, and it seems to have resolved it 100% for me. Okay, charge the battery for like 5 minutes, so I probably have another 2 minutes. So on to point 3, I guess I was going to talk about my retesting of my vertical jump, the 2-foot standing vertical jump, whatever it is. So I believe I linked you in a card to my first video on my first test. But basically, yeah, I found a wall. I think I did like 4 jumps, kind of like with the wall on my right side for a couple, and then on the left side for a couple, and I found out that they're both even. So this time around I just tested one side, knowing that it's going to be the same regardless. And last time I think I did 4 jumps, and then that spot on my knee I was showing you, like the inside right kind of 5 o'clock area, just was done. And that's in the video. You can go and watch it. And for the next day or so, I couldn't bend it past probably 15 degrees or so. And then it took a few days after that to even kind of get back to normal. And then it kind of didn't get fully normal. And then that turned into what I mentioned before about how my knee started to hurt later on and I had to get it handled. So I was saying in my first jump video, whether or not I gain any more inches on my vertical, it would be great if I even just was able to get the same vertical but not have pain immediately or the day after or anything like that. So I don't know. I was kind of looking forward to seeing what would happen with that, and I guess I will just roll that clip right here because there's space on the screen. I'm just going to pretend I'm watching it with you. No?
A little bit lower than the other one.
Yes! It's flat on the ground. 117.5 and 93. Okay. I'm assuming that I've played them all. I'll try to edit them so that I'm not cutting them off or whatever. But anyway, yeah, I was using the same shoes. I warmed up like the same way, which probably definitely isn't a proper warm-up. So assuming that me moving on to dense for the next 12 weeks helps improve everything even further, which it should, and improves the muscles that help you to jump, which it should, which zero doesn't really do, I should be increasing my vertical after this 12-week period. So I will learn how to do proper warm-ups, and maybe like after that, if I'm bulletproof enough, I could actually do a proper jumping course or whatever it is and just see how high I can get it. Because yeah, I gained an inch in 12 weeks without even jumping once. The last time I jumped was 12 weeks ago. So I don't know what a good goal would be, like by May of next year to hit 30 inches. Maybe that would be cool. I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway, that's all I have. It's past midnight. I'm tired. I need sleep. Let me know what you think about everything. And if you're doing the system too, let me know where you're at with it. And if you've had certain nagging things or knee pain develop for a little bit or whatever, I'm genuinely interested in it. I'm obsessed with all of his programs and I'm really excited to keep going with them. Bye.